Okay, so today we're going to discuss about derivatives. So do you have any idea about the derivative product or derivative contracts or what is derivatives? So can you please go ahead and hmm, okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so you're almost there. So we'll discuss some tactical and technical things about the derivative product, why the derivative is important and how it's work and why we enter into derivative agreement first. What is the reason behind it? So there are several reasons, okay? Because while dealing with some certain financial instrument, you can see a number of risk which is abide with that particular financial instrument. When we talk about equity, equity is quite volatile, right? Because every second that you can see the price of the equity product will be go up or either will go down. So how can you protect your equity investment from a market uncertainties? This is really important. And when we talk about bonds, so there is a risk, the default risk in every product that you can see the default risk. Default it means so issuer of the bond can be default on his repayment of the bond, or even he can default on the interest payment of a bond. And if he default, it means that's your loss. Then how can you protect the bonds or debt instruments? The same applies to the loans. Loans can be your credit card, loans can be your auto loan, your mortgage, and other business loans, and blah blah things. Then how can you protect the loans, right? Because ultimately, always, if you are an investor, always you will try to protect your principal amount first or principal capital amount first. If you are not able to protect the principal amount, so it means we'll have to lose everything, है ना? मतलब अगर हमारा कैपिटल ही नहीं बचा तो क्या करोगे आप, राइट? So that is what this the derivative, the derivative, the agreement come into picture. The derivative product, then I would say now the derivative market is like is become very large, and you can see the derivative in any segment: equity, bonds, loans, commodities, then other oil and all, gold. In every segment that you can see the derivatives, derivative agreements or derivative contracts. Okay, so first of all we'll try to understand to the underlying assets. Underlying का मतलब अगर आप एक generic meaning if you can see कि जिसको हम कंसिडर करके चलने वाले हैं, जिसको हम समझने वाले हैं कि इसकी वैल्यू ये है. जैसे कि if we talk about equity, let's say let's say Infosys. This the Infosys security for per price is around 1400. So, or maybe it if it is 1500, right? So for equity, so this would be the underlying assets. And the same if we can talk about bonds, then the you can again consider the bonds from XYZ entity or even including government bonds. Let's say even IDFC issued bonds, the the per bonds value is around let's say 1000. Then loans, mortgage loans. For mortgage loans, that you can take example of HDFC or HDB, and there the mortgage loan size is around let's say 500 crore. Then again, just we'll take example of HDB. There are other loan size apart from the mortgage. Let's say personal loan, credit card, auto loans, and this size is around combinedly size is around 500 crore again. Okay, see, while signing the contracts with the counterparty, so this could be the assets. Okay, either one of them: equity, bonds, mortgage loans, or other loans, right? So that's combinedly called as underlying assets. Apart from that, even you can see many other instruments as well. So like forex, commodities. Commodities could be your gold, oil, jute, cotton, many more, and the for and even metals as well. And the forex could be GBP versus INR, apart from that, even you can see the money market instruments as well, right? And there could be any things, okay? Even the cash flows, then your uh, interest interest payments, floating, and there are two types of interest payments. One is floating and another is fixed. And when we talk about floating, definitely you can see some, IBOR, MIBOR, or maybe that you can see other product is like Eurobor, Eurobor. Then other would be like there are many more, but they are like popular. Okay, for every country they have their own the interbank offered interest rate structure in place to offer to offer the loan facility to each other, and plus that you can see the spread. Apart from that, so there will be like spread. Okay, so in short, if you ask me about what is the difference between, and most of the time there would be the question from the even panel or interviewer, or even this is for like general understanding purpose as well. So what is the difference between this IBOR or this interest rate, base rate here that you can call it base rate, and the spread? Okay, so in a layman language, the base rate, which is the cost of a loan, and the spread is the income of a lender. Okay, and again, spread should be the greater than the other base rate. Okay, and if it and sometime it could be equal, and it depends on the respective counterparts how they want to go ahead with the agreement. But in a most of the cases, the spread should be more than the IBOR. Otherwise, you cannot sell that loan to the others. So as simple as that. We'll discuss in details because I even don't like to discuss few things like by definition wise. And even if we discuss in that way, then doesn't make sense, and that even that don't help you at all while doing or while processing the business transactions. Okay. So interest payments. First of all, we should understand the underlying assets. What are the underlying assets? That is what I'm writing all this. So again, so it would be like principal payment or principal amount or notional amount that you can call principal amount or notional amount, right? So here you can see the notional or the meaning of the notional and principal almost same because principal amount called as notional amount. So without the interest payment, the just vanilla or plain amount would be there. Okay, so in that case, how we do it, how we exchange it. So we'll discuss that also. INR versus ZBP, loan amount, or maybe the USD versus UR, or INR, let's say again. Here would be also loan amount. So the simply suppose there is Mr. X and there is Mr. Y, and in a practical way also it will have a same. Okay, there won't be any change in the process to sign the agreement or execute this derivative contract. Why? So what is the USD rate? I think it's 77. Let's assume it. USD. So let's say the rate is around 76. INR. This Mr. X is from India. This is USA. Okay, so for $1 that will have to pay 76 rupees, right? So this is the currency exposure, and if you can calculate, sometime we'll have to perform the calculation process as well. So this is your rate, and if you multiply by 100, okay. So this is the USD versus INR FX exposure rate. This is also important because as a processor, we should know each and everything how we can calculate and how we can check the foreign exposure or FX rates and all. But yeah, you can see there's rates and all in your internal system as well wherever you work. Okay, and so simply why we do this again, principal swap. This is also important, so we'll discuss that later on. Okay. Mm, okay, and the other products, these are like CDS. CDS is one of the largest derivative product as of now because they have around, I think, 3.5 or more. The value that I had, the CDS, and yeah, well, we'll take that. We'll discuss that. We'll go to the one by one. Just want to check protection seller, protection buyer, credit default risk. Okay, so these are actually comes under the swaps part, right? Credit default swap, TRS. So TRS is total revenue swaps, right? And there are many more like commodity swap. Like we had a barter system in the when you go back in the history, there you can see that there was a barter system in place to exchange the goods against goods, right? So it's like the same replica that you can see in the derivative contracts. We are exchanging the currency versus currency. We are exchanging the business revenues or business profit versus profit, or maybe the product revenue versus the other interest payment and all, or other fixed remuneration or consideration that I would say, right? So these are like CDS, credit default swap, or what we call credit default swap, yeah, collateral. First of all, try to understand the meaning of credit. Okay, credit could be your loans, advances, bonds, debts. Okay, because we should have a clear idea about the terms as well. So credit means what? Credit default. Default का मतलब है insolvency, or the issuer is default on payment. So it could be, as I mentioned, interest payment or else principal payment or notional amount in a derivative language that we can call notional amount. So in under CDS, we'll have to protect to our interest payment as well as notional amount. And why we'll do it? There is also reason, right? Why we'll do it? We'll see that as well while discussing the CDS product. And here, like under TRS, total revenue swaps, revenue. What is the meaning of revenue? Whatever he will, yes, he will earn, exactly, he will earn from that securities, right? Whatever he will earn from the securities that will have to exchange with someone who are ready to provide fixed rate of return to our assets or investment. Okay, so again, what could be the financial instrument that comes under the TRS? It could be your normal business as well. Okay, business cash flows, equity, because you can protect your equity investment against the fixed rate of return that you can also expect from the that the protection buyer or protection seller. Okay, so what then? So in this case, definitely, suppose if we talk about business, then we'll have to share all the revenue और प्रॉफिट दैट आई वुड से, जैसे होता है ना कि मैं मेरा कॉपीराइट देता हूँ तो बिजनेस कर दे और मुझे उसके बदले में 20,000 रुपये दे दे. दैट हैपेंड यूजुअली हमारे नॉर्मल लाइफ में भी होता है, ऐसे नहीं कि कोई, कई बार हम कुछ चीज़ ऐसे उधार पे दे देते हैं उसको, तो बोलते हैं ना कि मुझे, चलो मेरा ये बिजनेस है छोटा सा, ले ले, उसके बदले में मुझे 10,000 15,000 देते रहे महीना, जो भी मंथली क्वार्टरली एनुअली वॉट एवर इट इज. ये ऐसे कोई जो टर्म्स है कुछ नई नहीं है, ये नॉर्मल बिजनेसेस ही आपने नॉर्मल लाइफ में कई बार यूज होती है, कई बार मतलब कई बार. बट प्रॉब्लम ये होता है ना कि उसको ये यही नाम से कहा जाता है, या फिर ये अभी ये बिजनेस के लेवल पे ऐसे ओरली कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स नहीं किए जाते हैं, वहां पे थोड़ा सा लिखित या फिर रिटन फॉर्मेट में चाहिए. दैट इज व्हाट ये डेरिवेटिव कॉन्सेप्ट को डेवलप किया गया है कि हम डिराइव करेंगे क्या फैक्टर्स है, किसके ऊपर क्या आता है, हर चीज हम डिराइव करेंगे एंड उसी के बेसिस में हम अपना कंसर्न देके एक एग्रीमेंट बना के रखेंगे ऐसे. अगर बिजनेस रहा, बिजनेस के कैश फ्लोज होते हैं, रेवेन्यू होगा, प्रॉफिट होगा, एसेट्स लायबिलिटीज भी होगा. When you talk about equity, definitely dividend would be there. And the capital gain, right? Because here in the name itself, they have mentioned like total revenue swaps, right? So everything that will have to swap against the fix. But how can you fix to it? Again, you can expect base rate plus spread, or else you can expect the fixed interest payment or consideration, that you can call interest payment, or consideration would be the accurate word. Consideration. And when we talk about bonds, definitely the interest payment. And even principal. 。 right? And there are many more, even commodities, golds and oils and many more that you can see. So the another important is, have you mentioned there, credit card? Okay, mortgage loans, that even you can call MBS, mortgage backend securities. This is also important. And in a most of the interview process also you can expect questions on mortgage backend securities. What is a mortgage backend securities? And here that combinedly called ABS, asset backend securities. Okay. Okay. So see, probably this all are the, the underlying assets that we can see under the derivative contracts. Apart from that, there would be others as well, but these are like popular assets or consent that you can see under the derivative charter. Okay. And as I mentioned, why we signed the derivative contract. So we all are aware about the insurance companies and insurance product as well, right? Why we apply for a term insurance or else the insurance maybe. Why we apply it? I know that the insurance is something different from this the derivative, but you can see the same features in the insurance contract as well. Insurance is also one of the contract because see the term insurance that we take for next 10 years or 20 years, where you can see the dates as well, dates or maturity payments amounts, everything, and even we pay the premium amount, and that we same pay in the derivative agreement as well, because we'll have to pay the premium to protect our assets or to principal amounts or maybe to the revenues or maybe to other blah blah things, right? So even if you're aware about the insurance, then definitely you will have a good understanding about the derivative products as well, why we signed it, why we do or why we entered into this derivative agreement, and why this the becoming more popular in this industry. Because we all are aware about the bailout situation in United States. In 2008, there was a great recession hit to the United States economy, and almost their financial sector went badly crashed, and it was like blood bathing and blood it that I would say. Finally, that the USA government they had to announce or proclaim the emergency situation, economic emergency situation across the United States, and even they had to announce the bailout package or other consideration, right? But why that? Yeah, so apart from Lehman, there are two more Stewart something. There is another one. The two to three popular, banks, investment banks are there. The Lehman's is one of the, uh, I don't have any idea, but yeah, still that is, yeah, yeah, maybe Nomura Group, maybe they have acquired it. But the point is, see the in every product you can see the default risk, right? Here we are signing the contracts with a protection buyer and protection seller, or who can commit us to provide the security or safety to our investment. That is what we are entering into the underlying assets agreements or the derivative agreements. But what happen if the protection buyer, seller, or the guarantee provider, they also become default, and even the issuer, whatever it is, let's say the HDFC, IDFC bank, if they become default, then what will happen? So, so this is very important. if you're signing the derivative agreement to mitigate the risk or to hedge the risk, still there will be a default risk which will attach to that particular financial instrument, right? So ultimately risk will be there, but this possibility will be like very less, because while signing the derivative contracts we'll have to review the several factors like their credit worthiness or credit ratings or their financial situation or position, their cash flows, their balance sheet, how they are sound in the market, everything that will have to review it, their liabilities, right? And then after we can start to pay the premium to that particular XYZ counterpart. So it could be, for example, JP Morgan, it could be the other NT, it could be the BNY, it could be your the BNP and all, because most probably in such a contracts you can see the banks names or financial institutions names or maybe the hedge fund houses or maybe the other ones, right? बट फाइनली द पॉइंट इज कि जब यूएस का रिसेशन आया तो ये दोनों भी, जिन्होंने प्रोटेक्शन की गारंटी ली एंड जिन्होंने प्रोटेक्शन की गारंटी दी, ये दोनों लोग डिफॉल्ट हो गए. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट जो इश्यूअर था, जैसे कि वी हैव एन एग्जांपल आईडीएफसी बैंक, so they have issued the bonds worth of rupees 500 crore. Suppose we are the buyer or investor, right? Even we had signed CDS, credit default swap, right? With whom? Let's say Lehman and Brothers, Lehman and Brothers. Hmm. Yeah, because the Lehman and Brothers is one of the largest investment bank in the world, not even in the United States. But सबसे बड़ी, yeah, JP Morgan. See, now what we did, we signed the CDS with the JPM, and now the JPM is the protection seller. Sorry, Lehman and Brothers is the protection seller, because they are selling the protection product, right? So they are assuring us, they are committing us, they will provide the protection assurance to our investment. And like, because what happened, suppose now there is a news from the HDB or HDFC or HDB side, like there the profits and the revenues went down in last 2 to 3 quarters, and their NPS has been increased, and even they have been underrated from a several brokerage houses. So now we are cautious because we have invested around, let's say, 250 crore each as in a bonds, right? So now we are cautious. What will happen to our investment if they become a default on the payment? Definitely, because the 250 crore is a very huge amount that even we can't take a risk. And that is what we are looking for, a protection buying. So how we can buy the protection to our investment, and how can we secure to our investment, right? So here, let's say we are protection buyer because we want to secure to this 250 crores, all right? And let's say the maturity of this particular the investment or the bonds is 2022, and today we are cautious about it. Let's say now we just call to the Lehman and Brothers and we discuss our concern or problem, and they're saying yes, we are ready to sign the contract. But yet, even while signing the contract, if the assets are, see, such assets called as like distressed assets. Distressed, it means So those are like under views risk. Okay, and when the asset is distressed, so it means that will have to pay the premium highly. Your premium will be increased, right? So here, let's say, so assets or the bonds are distressed bonds because the financial situation of the HDB and the HDFC is not good at all. So that is what now they have been underrated, and the assets that we are calling, or the brokers, other the or the Nomuras, the institutions like Nomuras, they are calling like the distressed assets or bonds for this particular HDFC and HDB bonds. Okay, this these names are important, guys, because every time you can see such names in your system as well. So that is what the names are also important. Distressed assets. Okay. So now we are the buyer, protection buyer, because we are looking for a buying the protection, and here Lehman Brothers is the seller. So see the situation as, so while signing the contracts, we'll have to fix the premium amount first, because every month, so both of us that will have to pay the premium to the Lehman and Brothers, right? No, why the seller will pay it? Hmm? See, आपने एक, मैंने पहले ही बोला, टर्म इंश्योरेंस आप लेते हो क्या? इंश्योरेंस कंपनी आपको भी क्या ये पे करती है प्रीमियम? Exactly, because we are looking for a security, right? Then we'll have to pay the protection amount or protection money. Some companies call protection money, few companies call protection amount, few call premiums. So will the more professional word is like premium, right? So as a buyer, that will have to pay the premium pay to L and M to secure our assets, correct? Because our intention is to protect our assets or investment. और अगर ये यही सिचुएशन हम अगर उसको थोड़ा सा क्लोजली देखें, तो चीज आपको समझ में आएगी. लेट्स से यही सिचुएशन को विल शिफ्ट बिफोर द 2007 सिचुएशन और 2008. ठीक है, हम ये समझ लो कि आज का जो दौर चल रहा है 2007 और 8 का है. लेमन्स एंड ब्रदर्स ने हमें एश्योरेंस दिया है कि अगर एचडीबी और एचडीएफसी कल डिफॉल्ट हो जाता है, सो विल पे your 250 crore amount or 500 crore amount to you guys. So what you can do, you can pay the premium to protect it. तो हम यहाँ पे हमने सोचा कि चलो यार अभी प्रोटेक्शन तो लेना चाहिए, तो हम लेट्स से एवरी मंथ और एवरी क्वार्टर दैट वी आर पेइंग 1 million और चलो 1 crore let's say, or 1 million that you can call the dollar amount that we are paying as a premium each. मतलब both we are paying the same, around 2 millions that we are paying to the Lehmans and Brothers. And in return of that, the Lehman and Brother is entitled to provide the security to our investment. So let's assume it, ये हमारा कई सालों से चल रहा था, या फिर हमने 2000 से ये साइन किया था, क्योंकि बॉन्ड की जो लाइफ होती है मोर देन 10 years होती है, और उससे भी ज़्यादा होती है, कभी कभी 5 साल के भी निकलते, डिपेंड्स. कई कई 100 साल की भी होती है कई बार। तो ये जो प्रोटेक्शन हम लेते हैं कुछ समय के लिए लेते हैं, जैसे कि 10 साल, 15 साल, 20 साल, डिपेंड्स ऑन द सिचुएशन। तो यहाँ पे ये समझ लीजिए कि ये जो दौर है 2008 का है। तो फाइनली the unprecedented moment is there. And now HDFC has been default, or HDB, whatever you can call, has been default on the interest payment. Yeah, because investment maturity will be, let's say, 2022. But every quarter they will have to process the interest payment to us, you and me, right? Because we are the buyer of that bonds. We are a bondholder, so we are entitled to receive the interest payment from the HDB or HDFC Bank on a quarterly basis. And let's see now, just because of this, the recession, the HDFC or HDB is not in a position to process the interest payment to us. So now they are default, right? And if they are default, so it means what we'll do, we'll reach out to the Lehman and Brothers, and that is what we are paying the protection money to the Lehman and Brothers. Correct? But unfortunately, at the same time, Lehman and Brothers, they are also default to pay the interest payment to us. So in this case, what investor can do? Nothing, कुछ नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि जिसने तुम्हें कमिट किया था, जिसकी वजह से हमने ये सारा प्रीमियम पे किया है, एक तो प्रीमियम भी चला गया, क्योंकि ये प्रीमियम वी आर पेइंग ऑन अ मंथली बेसिस और मे बी ऑन अ क्वार्टरली बेसिस, प्रीमियम भी गया, interest payment भी गया, and now your the principal security is also under distressed. स्ट्रेस का मतलब क्या है कि वो अंडर थ्रेट है. It can be happened anything to your investment. There is no guarantee. So ये सेम सिचुएशन 2008 में हुई. ये लेमन एंड ब्रदर्स के साथ नहीं हुई, जितने भी इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक्स थे, इन्वेस्टमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस थे, हर एक के साथ यही कहानी थी. जिन्होंने प्रोटेक्शन की गारंटी ली वो भी गायब है, जिन्होंने इशू किया था वो भी गायब है, और बीच में लटकते रह गए इन्वेस्टर्स. भारी नुकसान हेज फंड हाउसेस थे इन्वेस्टर के रूप में, तो उनको हुआ. म्यूचुअल फंड हाउसेस थे तो उनको हुआ. मे बी फंड ऑफ फंड हाउसेस, पेंशन फंड हाउसेस, और मे बी अदर फैमिली फंड हाउसेस, जितने भी हाउसेस थे उन सबको नुकसान बेयर करना पड़ा. क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली अगर कुछ भी हो जाता है तो जितने भी बाकी बैंक, इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक्स, ब्रोकर, कॉर्पोरेट ब्रोकर, म्यूचुअल फंड हाउसेस, हेज फंड हाउसेस, there are n number of entities that are available or exist in the market, but ultimately that is not their own money. They are dealing with the client's money or investors money or fund, and when something happened in the market, so they, after all, right, उनका कुछ नहीं जाता है. So ultimately investor will have to bear the entire losses. So that is what, there is even I think campaigns or ads that you can see from the central banks or the government of India or maybe the other institutions or maybe the IMF and all, while dealing with the financial instrument. So always we should have to read all the documents very carefully, and then you can invest into it. Because whether you sign the CDS, whether you sign the TRS, whether you sign the any the derivative agreement, still there will be a default risk which will be involved in the financial instruments. जैसे ये होता है ना कि जो थैंक्स गॉड, कोई तो एक मूवी मूवी था गॉड या थैंक्स गॉड समथिंग था, अक्षय कुमार का लेटेस्ट आया हुआ, एक दो साल पहले आया था शायद। उस एक परेश रावल का घर या दुकान गिर जाता है तो वो क्लेम करता है कि मुझे तो वैसा सीन है। तो ओ माय गॉड, राइट। तो डेरिवेटिव उससे भी सीख सकते हैं। डेरिवेटिव मतलब है कुछ है ही नहीं इतना, क्योंकि वो खुद बोलता है बंदा कि मैंने तो इंश्योरेंस लिया हुआ था तो मुझे पैसा मिलना चाहिए। इंश्योरेंस कंपनी बोलती कि ये जो अगर, हाँ तो ये हाँ एक्ट ऑफ गॉड्स है तो हम कैसे दे उसको। ठीक है, तो ऐसे टर्म्स टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस ऐसे कई सारी ऐसे होती है। एंड डिफॉल्ट रिस्क जो है दैट वी कैन नॉट एंड नोबडी कैन अवॉइड इट। कितनी भी ये प्रोटेक्शन देते हैं, ये अगर देखो इसमें अगर ये लीमन्स एंड ब्रदर्स फाइनेंशियल सिचुएशन में साउंड है, देयर बैलेंस इट इज वेरी साउंड, in that case even they can also repayment, they can also process the interest payment to us on behalf of the HDB. बट अल्टीमेटली अगर ये HDB और HDFC अगर ये अच्छे सिचुएशन में आ जाते हैं तो हम उसको पेमेंट नहीं छोड़ने वाली, या फिर ये लेमन ब्रदर्स नहीं छोड़ने वाला है पेमेंट, कोई भी नहीं छोड़ने वाला है, दे विल हाउ टू प्रोसेस इट। ये नॉर्मल HDB, ये जो बड़े बड़े बैंक्स है ना, यही बैंक CDS वगैरह सब ये इशू करते हैं। या बट इनका जो बिजनेस है HDFC ICICI, ये काफी कम बिजनेस तुम्हें दिखेगा, क्योंकि CDS, TRS एंड अदर डेरिवेटिव प्रोडक्ट्स ये लार्जली ट्रेड होते USA मार्केट में और UK मार्केट में। एंड इवन इवन चाइना के मार्केट में भी और जापानीज मार्केट में भी ये डेरिवेटिव बहुत ज़्यादा ट्रेड करता है। लेकिन इंडियन मार्केट में ये ऐसी चीज़ें आई नहीं है, पहले से थी लेकिन कई सारे फ्रॉड्स, कई सारी चीज़ें आती थी। अल्टीमेटली यहाँ पे एक कागज़ पे लिख के हम लोग पूरा खेल खेल रहे, राइट। हमको ऐसे लाइव लोकेशन पे जाके बिजनेस देख के चीज़ें नहीं कर रहे, एक पूरा बिजनेस कागज़ पे लेके आ रहे एंड उसी कागज़ के साथ खेल रहे, उसी कागज़ को वैल्यू दे रहे हम लोग। कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नोट्स, एग्रीमेंट्स, मास्टर एग्रीमेंट्स, राइट, फंडिंग, फंडिंग डिटेल्स, फंडिंग एग्रीमेंट, डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, एवरीथिंग इज डिपेंड्स ऑन द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन। जैसे कि अभी ये जो मॉर्गेज बैक एंड सिक्योरिटीज का हाल हुआ था 2008 में, जितने भी डेरिवेटिव प्रोडक्ट्स थे ना उन सबको मात दिया था रिसेशन ने, सबको मात दिया था। जो हम उसके ऊपर ज्यादा ही फुदकते थे ना कि वी आर हेजिंग द रिस्क, वी आर मिटिगेटिंग द रिस्क, क्या हाल हुआ मिटिगेट करने का? अभी भी स्टिल Lehman and Brothers, they are proceeding the derivative contracts or bonds and other payments। जैसे जैसे उनको आ रहे हैं ना, मतलब जो बिजनेसेस नॉर्मल हो रहे हैं उनसे पेमेंट आ रहा है, तो वो लोग अभी भी प्रोसेस कर रहे हैं, अभी भी प्रोसीडिंग जारी है, करंट डेट पे प्रोसीडिंग जारी है। थोड़ी थोड़ी एसेट्स जितनी भी आती है ना, क्योंकि उन्होंने CDS वगैरह भर भर के साइन किया था, तो उनका जो पैसा था वो तो जेब खाली हो गया। बट अभी जो कि मैंने बोला HDFC पहले उस समय 2008 में पोजीशन में नहीं थी टू रिपे द इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट एंड ऑल, बट नाउ दे आर इन अ पोजीशन टू रिपे द एंटायर प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट along with the interest, right? If they are in a position and if they are ready to pay it, then definitely that will benefit it to the Lehman and Brothers। तो ये ऐसी चीजें होती है, ये ऐसी चीजें वर्कआउट करने लगती है मार्केट में। कई सारी ऐसी, ये काफी इंटरेस्टिंग है अगर देखा जाए तो, लिंक समझने के लिए या फिर एंड प्रैक्टिकल वे पे भी ऐसे ही चीजें काम होती है, ऐसे अलग कुछ हम नहीं करेंगे। डेरिवेटिव अलग, लेकिन ये बात अलग है कि जैसे प्रोडक्ट वाइज थोड़ी सी चीजें दैट यू कैन सी डिफरेंस। फॉर एग्जांपल अगर इक्विटी है तो डेफिनेटली हियर इंस्टेड क्वांटिटी दैट यू कैन कॉल द लॉट साइज, राइट, प्राइस, मे बी ट्रेड डेट, expiry date, instead settlement date it will be like expiry date, right? Because once the expiry date done, then that the derivative contract will be settled, right? For a bonds again the quantity, price and maturity date, or maybe redemption date that you can call it. And for a bonds, the dates or key things that we can see, maybe amount, trade date, and settlement date. For loans, the same will apply. Instead, a redemption date you can call like only the maturity date when the loan is going to mature, and the amount, trade date, settlement date, it will be like same. For a commodities, again it will be like, if it is a oil, that you can see the barrel to, for the hard commodities like cotton and all, you can see like in a quintals, or in a that lot even you can call, right? But in a lot like quintal and kg would be there. For a sugar, it will be like, it will be like the per ton, right? So depends on the. For a currency, the definitely here would be like currency versus currency, spot price, trade date, settlement date, blah blah things, right? Okay, what the fuck. See, so on the derivatives, when we talk about the underlying assets, so underlying assets are theirs. So we should know about each and every assets. So actually here, what we did post-mortem of the derivative, or underlying assets product. These are the underlying assets. These are the underlying, the instrument that you can see. And this is the key details that is required while dealing or signing the contracts with the counterparties. Right? Yeah, because if you don't know these things, then you cannot perform the recon, you cannot book the trades, you cannot process the trades in your system, you cannot perform the trade settlement process, trade processing process, or you cannot do anything apart from this, because this details is required, which is very crucial. If you miss such information, then if you in a process like, will have to reach out to the the counterparties, and we'll have to confirm the details from the counterparty, and then we'll have to make the amendments in our system, and then you can maintain that records with you, right? And even this is like, even the derivative, that you can see unrealized, unrealized gain and unrealized profit, the terms that will have to uh, mention in the balance sheet and in the financial statements as well, right? So that is what, from an accounting perspective also, such information is required, even reporting, accounting and all. Because if you don't consider this the derivative contracts in the reporting, then it will be like the bit difficult for us to calculate our cash flows and other, the balance sheet, assets, liabilities and everything. So from a reporting point of view also, this the underlying assets and the key details is important. From a processing perspective also, this key details is important. Underlying assets and products are very important. From a recon perspective, from a trade processing perspective, trade booking perspective, trade enrichment, capture, right? Everything from every aspect, the derivatives and the key details and the asset details is important. Now you can ask your questions on these 2 points. Redemptions it is at the end of the maturity. Suppose we took the example of the HDFC Bank, and as I mentioned, so such a bonds will be matured in 2022. So it means the 2022 actually there your bonds gonna be redeem and it will be convert into cash, and that is how we will receive the cash amount. So that process called as redemption. जैसे कि तुम्हारे पास कूपन होता है, कूपन उसकी मैच्योरिटी होती है 10 साल की या फिर 5 साल की, 1 साल की, 2 साल की, वॉट एवर इट इज। जब आप उसको रिडीम करने के लिए जाते हो तो उसी प्रोसेस को रिडीम ही बोलते हो। रिडीम का मतलब क्या, यू आर जस्ट गोइंग टू, यू आर कन्वर्टिंग दैट कूपन इनटू द कैश, करेक्ट? दैट इज हाउ। कोई बात नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं है, कंफ्यूजन होता ही है, डेरिवेटिव सीखना इतना इजी थोड़ी है। डेरिवेटिव इज क्वाइट टफ फॉर अ प्रोसेसिंग एंड फ्रॉम इवन फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग पर्पज एज वेल। कोई बात नहीं, लेकिन तुम सीख जाओगे। No worries, no worries. I'll. Yeah. That is what I'm coloring to these points. जब सीखते हैं चीजें तो उसका पोस्टमार्टम करना चाहिए, इसलिए पूरी चीजें डिप्स में होनी, पूरा ऐसे उसको फाड़ के रख दो, तब जाके सीखो, मजा आएगा और चीजें भूलेगी नहीं। आई नो कि थोड़ी सी डिफिकल्ट है सीखने में, अगर और भी चीजें मैं बताता हूँ। चलो हिंदी में बोलेंगे थोड़ा 5 मिनट, तब समझ जाओगे शायद। जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि डेरिवेटिव्स के लिए अंडरलाइंग एसेट्स कई बार हम डेफिनेशंस में बोल देते हैं, ठीक है? बट बहुत सारे लोग इससे कंफ्यूज रहते हैं कि अंडरलाइंग एसेट्स क्या है, कौन सी है, होती कैसी है, क्या होता है, कई सारी चीजें हैं, समझ में ही नहीं आती है। तो इसलिए मैंने पहले बोला कि जो अंडरलाइंग एसेट्स है, अंडरलाइंग का मतलब है कि हम कुछ एज्यूम कर रहे हैं, हम कुछ उसको कंसिडर कर रहे हैं कि भाई इसी के ऊपर हम आगे अग्रीमेंट बनाने वाले हैं। तो अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट आप साइन करोगे, ऐसे ब्लैंक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट तो साइन नहीं करोगे, कुछ ना कुछ होगा। कुछ ना कुछ का मतलब ही है कि कुछ कंसिडरेशन होगा, कुछ कंसेंट होगा। तो वो कंसेंट हो सकता है कि इक्विटी हो सकता है बॉन्ड्स हो सकता है लोन्स हो सकता है कमोडिटीज हो, करेंसीज हो, कई सारी अदर चीजें हैं, वो हो, करेक्ट? बट अगर वो है तो उसकी की डिटेल्स क्या क्या होगी, क्या क्या डिटेल्स चाहिए, कैसे वर्कआउट होता है, उसके बारे में भी थोड़ा बहुत पता होना चाहिए। अगर वो पता नहीं है दैट डजंट मेक सेंस कि भाई हम, कई बार होता है कि हमें इक्विटी तो पता है लेकिन इक्विटी में क्या चीजें दिख, अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स मेरे पास आया तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स को रिकॉन कैसे करोगे आप, हाउ कैन यू परफॉर्म द रिकॉन फॉर इक्विटी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स, करेक्ट? अभी ये दिखता भी कैसे है, इन फी, say this this is in a system you can see the contract names like this, इन फी, इनसी लिखा मैंने, ओके माय मिस्टेक। इनफी 450, यानी कि अगर 450 का मैं पुट ले रहा हूँ तो मैं ये लग रहा है कि 450 का पुट नीचे जा सकता है, तो उसको तुम अपने अपने हिसाब से साइन कर सकते हो। तुम्हें लगता है कि ऊपर जा सकता है तो ऊपर के लिए साइन कर सकते हो। तो ये चीज़ें ऐसे यानी दिखते भी ऐसे हैं सिस्टम में। इसका मतलब ये है कि एक इन्फोसिस है, उसकी शेयर्स की प्राइस जो है 1450 मैं कंसिडर कर रहा हूँ साइन करने के लिए। जो एक्सपायर होने वाला है कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वो होगा सितंबर 31 को। सितंबर महीना 31 का है क्या, मैं लिख रहा हूँ गलत, 30 का है, सॉरी माय बैड। लोग बोलेंगे कि यार बंदा कुछ भी लिख रहा है। सितंबर 30, ठीक है, ये एक्सपायर होगा। एंड उसका जो ये पी का मतलब है पुट यूरोपियन, ये सीखेंगे अपन पुट और इसमें सीखेंगे। तो ऐसे दिखने लगते हैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स। तो अब इसके लिए चीजें इसी के अंडर यही चीजें होगी, ये चीजें होगी। लॉट, प्राइस, ट्रेड, एक्सपायरी डेट, कंपनी नेम, इश्योर नेम, वॉट एवर इट इज, बायर नेम, सेलर नेम। ये क्या अभी इन्फोसिस का है तो इन्फोसिस नहीं बेचेगा इसको, राइट। ये कोई जैसे आम लोग होते हैं, आप मैं कोई भी हो सकता है, हम बेचते हैं एक दूसरे को। जो जो ले रहा है उसको लगता है कि इसका प्राइस बढ़ेगा, तो जो बेच रहा है उसको लगता है कि इसका घटेगा। डिपेंड, राइट, डिपेंड्स। तो ऐसी चीजें वर्कआउट करने लगती है। सो हम ये डिस्कस करेंगे उसी उसी प्रोडक्ट के अंदर या टाइप्स के अंदर, तो और अच्छा जमेगा। ठीक है, तो ये हुआ पोस्टमार्टम ऑफ दैट अंडरलाइंग एसेट्स एंड की डिटेल्स which is required to sign the derivative agreements, and hope so कि at least you are clear about the underlying assets and the key details which is required to sign the derivative agreements. Okay, so now see this, because and even this is the these are like the different types that you can see. It is like just way of a sign the contracts. समटाइम हैपन ना कि कोई बोलता है कि मुझे ऑप्शन विप्शन में नहीं घुसना है भाई, कि मुझे अलग सा कुछ है कि ऑप्शन आपके पास, तो अब या फ्यूचर भी है ना मेरे पास, सो वी कैन। हाँ, तो ये अगर कोई बंदा बोलता है नहीं यार मुझे, जैसे कि होता है ना कि मुझे यार इक्विटी पसंद नहीं इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए, तो सामने वाला क्यों म्यूचुअल फंड में क्यों नहीं करता फिर। जैसे आपने इक्विटी बोला ना बोला, तो सामने वाला बंदा बोलेगा कि म्यूचुअल फंड में क्यों नहीं करता। आप बोलोगे नहीं यार म्यूचुअल फंड, तो बॉन्ड में क्यों नहीं करेगा, बॉन्ड भी तो है। तुम बोलोगे अरे बॉन्ड भी नहीं, बस ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, एफडीआरडी में कर ले, एनपीएस में कर ले। जैसे कि हुआ ना कि मतलब तुम्हें अगर मैंने डिसाइड कर लिया कि तुम्हें लूटना, तो कई सारे ऑप्शंस मेरे पास अवेलेबल है। तुम जैसे, हाँ क्रिप्टो, तो वैसे ही है ये, मतलब अलग सा कुछ है ही नहीं, इट इज जस्ट लाइक पैटर्न। अगर कोई ना बोलता है किसी वजह से, तो उसको कोई और ऑप्शन मिलना चाहिए, उसको कोई और ऑप्शन मिलना चाहिए। तो वैसे ये डेरिवेटिव टाइप्स है। डेफिनेशन तो मैं यहाँ पे नहीं बोलूंगा सेशंस में, तुम्हें डेफिनेशंस तो पता होती है, तो डेफिनेशंस आप खुद रट लेना कहीं से भी या देख लेना डेफिनेशन। yeah, and even I don't believe on like to mug up something and to explain in the interview process. You should learn the things. What I believe on a learning curve only. Try to grab the practical knowledge, try to grab the knowledge, try to understand the financial products in a deep way. That's it. Okay, so here there are the four popular types under the derivatives, and the first one is the options. What is options? Options in a layman language that you can see are called like the choice. We have a choice whether we can enter into put option or else we can enter into call option. So we have a choice to enter into a contracts or option contracts. All right. So put option, when we talk about put option, but before that, as I mentioned, put is for like seller and the call is for buyer. put that you can again, the situation of put is like if you have a, sometimes yeah, sometime what happened in the market as well. For example, let's say Nifty. So now the current level of Nifty is around 70,000, sorry, 17,000, and now you have the news, inside news or inside information like on Monday. So this can be down up to seven, no, sorry, 1650, due to just this, the pandemic is becoming looming large. The day by day, the COVID cases or the patients has been increasing substantially. There are a number of reasons, and even there is a bad news from a IT sector or after sector. So that is what, now you have a news in hand. So Nifty can be went down or can be go down. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, FMCG, there are many IT, banking, automobile, small cap, mid cap, large cap, and many more. Hmm? Small caps, it depends on the market capitalization. I think uh, if company's market capitalization is less than 1,000 crores, so that considered as a the small cap. And if the company's capital is again between 1,000 crore to 5,000 crore, those will be under the mid cap companies, and more than 5,000 crore can be as a large cap companies like TCS, Infosys, HDFC, then Reliance. These are like large cap companies. Like recently listed company, um Zomato. Zomato, that is a small cap company, right? So depends on the cap. Let's see, we'll check it. Small cap companies, CFA. I studied CFA, CA, but I didn't attend any the certification course. Hmm. Mm. Around 1 lakh at a time that will have to pay. Around $1,000 that will have to pay. Okay, small cap companies are those that have a market capitalization of less than 5,000 crore. Okay, so we were talking about only 1,000 crore. That is what. And the mid cap, so definitely would be up to 20,000 crore. 20,000. So yeah, the you are saying correct. The Zomato would be the mid cap company, and large cap, uh, more than 20, 20, more than 20, more than 20,000 crore. Leave it. We'll cover it. Leave it. We'll cover that as well. Okay, so that is how put and call. So here we were at put and call. So put, it means like suppose the same example that you can carry. So now you have a news in your hand. So Nifty can be go down by 500 points. So you can buy a put option, right? लीव इट, ये बाइंग और सेलिंग का छोड़ दो, अभी के लिए छोड़ दो, पूरा डेरिवेटिव समझते हैं, फिर प्रैक्टिकल साइड पे चलते हैं, फिर डिस्कस करते हैं. बट ये याद रखना कि पुट इट्स अ सेलर एंड call it's a buyer. Even there is another names that you can see, call writer and call buyer. Yeah, writer is the seller and another one is called writer and writer. राइटर, व्हाट आर द नेम्स. मेरा माइंड भी अभी कई सारी चीजें रीड कर रहा है, तो ये मैं इजीली से रिकॉल नहीं कर पाता हूँ. राइटर है, बट इसका बायर को या इसको कॉल राइटिंग, पुट राइटिंग. वही writing, yeah. So just writing, it means just to instead buy the put option, will sell the put option. Right, so that term called as like writing. We'll see that in a practical way. I know how this writing works and all. Okay, so I'll drive you through the practical exposure. So we'll buy any the the option, and then I can show you how it's work and all. Okay. So in a option that you can see the put and call option. But the important is, so under this option, there are few things. The key things that I would say this is applies to both the option put and call. That is, one is the lot size, then the other is the premium pay, option type, option type. There are two types. One is American, European. Yeah, there is again Bermuda as well, Bermuda. But we can't, in the Indian market is like we most of the deals in European one. Okay, even American that we don't use much. But like we all are working in MNC culture, so we should know about it, American and European, and even Bermuda as well. But that there is a little bit difference between that's two, American and European. That is, you can exit from the contracts at any point of time, right? So that feature you can see in European one. But when you entered in the American contracts, then only you can exit from the contract at the end of the maturity date. So once the contract will expire, then only you can exit from the market. Yeah, you can exit any point of time, and that we do. Even when I was doing uh, trading in the options at the time, we had only one option. Like even you can enter in only you can enter in European one, and you can buy at any point of time. You can sell that particular option at any point of time, and you can take back your money in your account. So that is fine. Because the option market is like very volatile and risky. So we cannot wait till the maturity. But again, so in the put option or call option, like the date when it gonna be expired, that will be certain. The price, that again gonna be certain. uh, and maturity price and lots or whatever units that you're looking for a buy, so it should be certain lot size. And again, so there is no obligation on the any of the counterpart to exit from the contract, so you can exit at any point of time if you feel that. So this can be a quite risky to stay in this particular option for a long, so you can exit it. There is no point. Okay, समय कितना हुआ है? हम यहीं पे रुकेंगे इस ऑप्शन, इसी के साथ। ठीक है, क्योंकि ये कल मार्केट चालू हो जाएगा ना, कल नहीं तो मैं फ्राइडे एक बार सेशन लेता हूँ। ये डिस्कस करने से पहले ऑप्शन को मैं क्लियर कर देता हूँ तुम्हें, ठीक है? ऑप्शन में पुट कॉल ये समझने के बाद बाकी का कुछ है नहीं है, फॉरवर्ड फ्यूचर बाकी के इजीली समझ जाएंगे। सो विल स्टे हियर। हाँ, तो वो हम देखेंगे प्योरली, लाइव देखेंगे हम कैसे ट्रेड होता है। ठीक है, एंड फिर वही डाउट भी रिजॉल्व करेंगे, एंड वंस we would be in a position to understand the options put and call, and then we can go ahead with the other market options। ठीक है, जहां तक हमने डिस्कस किया समझ में आया ना कि कैसे कैसे चीजें बन रही है। मतलब जितना हम एक डेफिनेशन में, अगर हम डेफिनेशन ही एक देखते हैं ना, तो उतना नहीं है कहीं, काफी लंबी, मतलब बहुत ज्यादा चीज है उसमें। डेफिनेशन एक तो है ही है, 2 लाइन की डेफिनेशन, डेफिनेशन तक लिमिटेड है ही नहीं है वो। ठीक है, ओके, मैं ये रिकॉर्डिंग बंद करके आपको कॉल करता हूँ 10-15 मिनट बाद, एक कॉल उठा के। ठीक है, चलो, विल सी यू नेक्स्ट सेशन देन।